Can you hear me? Okay, good evening anybody who's watching online. Hopefully you found the stream. This is on PHS Sports. Thank you to PHS and the SIC for providing that service, because that's a big help. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. The reason this was organized was to ensure voters can hear from all the candidates and hopefully, number one, improve voter turnout. In past years, Pocomoke has struggled to turn out voters. You've seen elections decided by a handful of people, and that's not ideal. Really, you know, our democracy works best when everybody participates. So the goal is to do that. We've got 4 candidates here tonight, and I appreciate you guys taking your time. You didn't have to do this, and I think that's commendable, so thank you. I wanted to thank the police chief for coming out tonight and being a part of this, and Ms. Ray for helping facilitate. So I won't talk too long, but one thing, just injecting, well, just a personal bit of opinion on the back of your name tags. One reminder for not only the candidates, but for everybody watching. We are the front of this town on the Eastern Side. So with that said, politics can get dirty, it can get nasty, but at the end of the day, we all have to live together. We all have to be neighbors, and I hope at the end of the night, you guys can all look each other in the eye and shake hands. So that's my hope. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mike Bradley of WGFD. He's going to be the moderator for tonight, and he has picked number 20. So there were 24 combinations, and he's going to select with that.
All right, Chip, thanks so much, and thanks for having me out, and I appreciate all the candidates coming tonight. You're doing a big service, obviously, to the community with all of you here, so everybody can hear from you. Just some guidelines, some ground rules to go through. As Chip just made mention, we've got a Ziploc bag with numbers, and we've got a chart here of 24 different combinations by 4, and so I drew the number 20, so we'll start there first. So 20 on our chart here has Nola, who has the decision you can open first or close last. Which would you choose?
Close last.
Close last. Okay. So you have that there. So you will open first.
Yeah, okay, if I stand up here.
Open first.
Just a second here.
Absolutely, thanks.
All right, so when we get to it, Brittany, you're going to go first, then Esther, then CL, and then Nola, and then Nola will close last, and we get there.
My name is Brett.
I'm sorry.
No
We had-
I apologize.
Yeah.
My error.
Okay.
Brittany's my
That's what I thought I'm looking
at.
at.
I apologize. I grew up with Brittany.
So it'll be Brooke, Esther, CL, and Nola in that order to open. We'll get to that in just a second. Following this forum, candidates, you'll have the option for a 30-minute meet and greet style question session, allowing attendees here to come direct access to discuss any follow-up questions. So we have that built into it. Again, as we told you, we've got a random poll here, so that determines the order of the open and close. Also, that will determine the order of all of you answering the questions. So we're looking to obviously have different orders of folks answering questions. So again, that's all random based on the numbers of the chart we have here. So I'm simply picking out a number and going on that chart. And so I'll let you know who's the answer first, second, third, and fourth with all of that. You'll have 90 seconds, minute and 30 seconds to do an opening statement. You'll have 90 seconds with a closing statement as well tonight. Also, we've got several questions, about 11 questions, and each one has a subset. We'll give you a little bit of background, and then I'll ask you a question, and there may be, a couple questions within. But do your best just to answer the most important part that you think stands out. I can follow up with a question if I feel like there needs to be some more clarification, or maybe the question wasn't answered. I don't think that would be an issue, but if I feel like maybe I need to get a little bit more, I'll ask that of you. In terms of rebuttals, what we thought would be the best thing is that, ultimately, stuff, there were issues, but if you do bring up another individual, we will have a rebuttal segment at the end. Instead of going back and forth the entire time, we thought at the end, that you will give each of you the opportunity for rebuttal, to make any comments about something that may have been brought up about you or your position. So we'll do that at the end prior to, the closing statements, taking place. Outside of that, in terms of the time, Chip will hold up the bar, letting you know you've got 30 seconds remaining and then you're out of time. We don't expect you to stop right at the very end, but as you're wrapping up your thought or sentence, please do so in being respectful of that. Outside of that, again, we would just ask that you try to stick to the question that we asked and not veer off course a little bit. Again, I'll follow up with VP, but hopefully we won't have to do that. I think with all that in mind, we're good to go. Okay.
There's an issue with the stream.
Okay, so we're going to pause for a second to get the stream going here. I'm going to take a second to fill out this chart. We'll get going here with just a second.
Hello.
Hey Dave,
Hey.
the live stream, I'm just getting a buzz and I'm not getting sound.
Seems to be a common problem across Pocono City.
It must be
I wasn't
there,
gonna
it
say
must be there.
Any
No
suggestions?
shade.
Tim?
So the problem right now is people online can't hear
The
anything,
camera audio.
so we're trying to get that sorted
So
out.
how would I,
Just turn the light one off and then there should be a audio button above where the big one is.
okay.
Let me try that. Good test.
Okay, I got mic one on. Okay. But I don't know. How can I turn off what you had it streaming through? Can you hear me?
That should take care of it.
See, right now they're not saying anything.
What's that?
Right now they're not saying anything.
No.
Hey Chip, can you do a mic test?
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, let me see what comes through.
So one thing while we're silent, we didn't offer anybody to submit any questions. I received questions from 2 people and they were incorporated into the
Well, I can
question
see them on
list.
camera
If anybody
one.
brought anything written, please provide that sooner rather than later, and
Plus,
we'll
I'm
try to work
looking
it in.
The camera's bouncing, but
We have a
mic
pretty
one isn't
comprehensive
doing a
list. It's
thing.
about 4 pages, and hopefully we'll be able to get through it all.
You're not used to it.
90 minutes.
Yeah, we said 90 minutes for the moderated portion and 30
Okay.
minutes for the candidates.
Well, then I will
We'll stick around
bump up the
on
mics.
your question on the answer.
And then just go with the camera.
Jim, I was near now, your mic is off and on, it's not
How about now?
better.
Enjoy the show.
Okay. Oh, good. Chip, I'm just gonna turn off the mic and just use the mic that's running through the camera. All right, Dave, we'll try that and see what happens.
Good luck.
All right, thanks. Let's go. No. We're gonna use this mic right here. I'm just gonna
All
pop
right,
up there.
we're going to begin with opening statements again. We've got 90 seconds, and you lead off. So, good evening, and you've got
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend the first ever Pocomoke City Town Hall. My name is Brooke Cotman. I am running for the position of Pocomoke City Council Member of District 4. I am 28 years old. I was born and raised in Pocomoke City, educated in the Pocomoke City school system, graduating from Pocomoke High School in 2013. I then went on to receive a Bachelor's of Science in Biology with a minor in Chemistry at Berry University in Miami, Florida. I currently work remotely as a client services manager for a software and services company located in Florida. I wouldn't be who I am today without Pocomoke City, and that is why I'm running for this position. Representing the residents of District 4 would be a priceless opportunity to give back to the community that has given so much to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke. Next up, Esther.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Esther Trost. I've been a resident of Pocomoke City for the past 45 years. My grandmother and grandfather homestead was here. My mother was born and raised here. So it's always been a second home, although I've made it my permanent home. I've raised one son. I have 2 grandchildren. And I have served on the Pocomoke City Council for the past 9 years. I have dedicated everything I have to the job. To me, it's not just 2 meetings a month, it's 7 days a week. It affords me, because of my job at Enchanted Forest, to be right next door to City Hall. So I'm available and ready at the drop of a hat to go over there to do whatever I have to do. I'm a check signer, so if you want to get your bills paid, I have to be on that check. So I'm right there. All they have to do is call me. I feel in my heart that I have done a good job, and I would like to continue on my quest to bring Pocomoke forward. Thank you.
All right, Esther, thank you. Next up, see what we've got for us.
Good evening. My name is C.L. Marshall, and I'm running for City Council here in District 5. I'm a writer, and I operate Tangier Same Charters. My wife and I raised 2 sons here in Pocomoke, and we've been involved in the planning and execution of many events, including the Pocomoke Poker Run, the Boat Docking Challenge, Pocomoke Little League, and many other philanthropic activities throughout the time. I've said from the beginning of this campaign, my goal is to make Pocomoke a better place to live, work, and visit. Achieving this requires a well-mapped approach and the cooperation from the council, the mayor, our police department, EMS services, all city departments, the county, and private interests, and most importantly, our citizens. Our residents deserve transparency in local government. Our residents should be well informed about the happenings in City Hall. And as members of the council, we should be held accountable for the decisions we make. I believe Pocomoke's greatest times are in front of us. We have several globally known companies here in Pocomoke, and we should fight to keep Pocomoke jobs in Pocomoke. There are significant industrial, residential, and commercial interests in Pocomoke at present. Handling these opportunities responsibly is crucial. I believe that together we can make Pocomoke a better place to live and work and visit, but it takes all of us to make this happen.
All right, CL, thank you. Now, we'll just ask the candidates if you could make sure that you have the microphones close to where you're speaking, just to make sure everybody hears. So bring those closer to you. Nola, you're up with the final opening statement.
Okay, thank you. Can everyone hear? Good. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. It's great to see everybody. As Mike said, my name is Nola Tuller, and I'm a resident, obviously, of District 4. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. I have been in Pocomoke now 10 years. We had the home prior to that as a rental unit and left the northern end of the county and came down to the quiet end of the county. And I've had 2 stepchildren go through the Pocomoke school system, and they got a great education, of course, through the teachings there at the middle school on into the high school, so I'm very appreciative of that. And going forward, I have noticed firsthand the challenges and the opportunities that Pocomoke has. And I'm sure that you have noticed them as well. I'm retired, and I feel that my full-time attention would be at Pocomoke in every single facet of Pocomoke. With, like I said, with the challenges and the opportunities that are out there, we need to seize them. We need to grab hold of them. We need to bring Pocomoke forward with progress. And I think what most people from Pocomoke, born and raised here, when Pocomoke was thriving, we want to go back to thriving again. We can do that, and with your help, I will be more than happy to take us there. Thank you.
All right, Nola, thank you. So our opening statements are concluded. So we will start with the questions. And again, I've drawn a random number as to the order of answers here. And we'll start first up, and we're going to give some a little background on each of the issues that we're talking about, and then I'll get into the specific question. So this has to do with positional vacancies and hiring, grant city manager, EMS clinicians. So a little background, city positions are remaining open for months and even a year at times. In particular, as well, grant writing has been unfilled for about a year, resulting in missed opportunities for both of them. The city manager position was vacant for much of last year, not counting temporary interims that were never really announced. So first up, and Brooke, you have the first answer to this. How would you improve the city's ability to hire and retain qualified staff? And how would you work to ensure critical positions are filled in a timely manner?
The best way to fill vacancies in our local government is to utilize efficient recruitment techniques and promote the vacancies on online job boards and social media platforms to reach a wider pool of qualified candidates, and also conduct research to see what other municipalities with similar budgets and responsibilities are offering. Competitive compensation and benefit packages are crucial to attract and retain qualified candidates.
All right, thank you. Next up, Nola.
First of all, I think with the grant writing, we definitely are in need of that and have been for the year. We really need a grant writer for that has infrastructure experience. I would love to see us dip into the talent that we have here in Pocomoke. There's some very well diverse people with background in grant writing. In door knocking, we have come across someone that has extensive background in grant writing and was interviewed at City Hall, so hopefully something will come of that. He has not been called back for a second interview, but like I say, he's very qualified, and I would like to see him given the opportunity. I believe it's 16 or 18 years in grant writing experience, and I certainly hope that this city will call him back for a second interview, even though his first interview was the first part of February. Going forward with that, outside of the announcement into Pocomoke, we really need to have a social presence, I think a little bit more in advertising the positions that we have available. Social media is so important, and word of mouth. We can look at job boards left and right, until we're sometimes dizzy. So I would express to the council, and if I am fortunate enough to get on council, I think that's where we need to go, is in-house first.
All right, next up, CL.
Before we start, you had mentioned, are we talking EMS and police staffing here, or are we just talking positional vacancies within City Hall?
All of the above. Covers much ground.
I can't do it in a minute right
Take what you feel is most important.
now. We'll start with EMS and the police department. You know, I've met with Chief Hancock, and I'm pleased to say, can you hear me? I met with Chief Hancock recently, and I'm pleased to say that I come out of that meeting feeling very good about our police department. I believe we were one officer understaffed now, I believe that's what that number was. And from what I find in that, as a small city, we're competing with a lot of other larger cities, and we seem to do quite well. I think a lot of that is due to his leadership and the things that he does there. I came away from this town hall meeting recently, really informed, as a better informed citizen, and I'm encouraged by that. But we must keep pace with other cities and other small towns around us. You know, specifically with EMS, therein lies a big issue. They just got infused with another cash infusion, which brought their pay scale up to where it should be. But compressed pay at other places really presents a problem moving forward. In the coming years, we again are going to be playing catch-up, so we need to get ahead of that. As far as positional vacancies in City Hall, I know I would assume that they have interviewed several candidates by now. And I want to agree with what was said earlier. Our nationwide search should be enhanced. That has to be done. There's a lot more to working in Pocomoke because you get to live here, and this is a great place to live. We should tag the amenities we have. We should talk highly about the people. We should talk about our EMS service, our police service, and all the other things that make Pocomoke a great place to live.
All right, Esther.
First of all, I'd like to start off, this is not a rebuttal, it's just a bit of information. We recently hired a new city manager. We did do a nationwide search with a group called Mercer. With other department head positions available, we utilized the Maryland Municipal League as our main advertising, which supports the statewide municipalities through education and furthering your ways of learning, and they are all on top of positions that are available. We also advertise in the newspaper. As CL said, EMS just got a pay raise. It was a lot of work involved in that, well overdue, long overdue. We have now got them on the STEP program, so going forward, it should be an easy process. We do only have, as currently right now, one position vacant, and that is the grant writer. And we have had several applicants, but with the city getting a new city manager, we've kind of stepped back and let him take influence and to feel his way out, because he is actually in charge of current department heads. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and we'll follow up. The next question under this issue will be, how will you stay informed about strategies and programs from the county, state, federal government, or advocacy resources to bring improvement to the city? And CL, your first up, please.
I think staying informed comes from staying involved. I mean, recently we had the Worcester County Department of Economic Development and the Worcester County Tourism Department had a meeting here in Pocomoke, and I was privileged to attend that. And from that meeting, I was informed about several initiatives on both the county and state level. Most recently, at the state level, I went up and I met with Representative Delegado, Delegate Hartman, Mary Beth Carozza, and a number of people up there. And in speaking with them, I learned much about legislation going through that affects Pocomoke. One key piece of legislation that went through that was very good to hear was the fact that there was an 11% tariff going to be put on firearms that does not affect manufacturers, which specifically speaks to Benelli. So our jobs at Benelli are safe, it appears, and I hope that trend continues. But staying informed is, in my opinion, staying involved, being present, being available, and being cognizant of that's going around us.
All right, next up, Esther.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Just a second. How would you stay informed about strategies and programs from the county, state, federal government, or advocacy resources to bring improvement to the building?
I personally am very active with the Maryland Municipal League. I attend all their conferences, and so far it has been the best education that I have received while in office. I continue my education with a program that they have. It's called Excellent in Government, and it's funded through the MML, and every year I'm one class away from graduating. I solicit information, I research information, mostly through Maryland Municipal League, but I also check out National League of Cities, and I follow their programs and their advisement through that. I try very hard to keep myself educated. I don't like to make decisions without educational background, and I don't make decisions without that. So those are my two main sources of staying alert in what's happening nationwide and statewide, and I utilize them every morning. I spend about 2 hours on my tablet every morning doing research.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Brooke.
I plan to use the resources available to me. I am a lifelong learner, and I plan to always seek out additional information from the various organizations in the area.
Thank you. Nolan?
First of all, I agree with what Mr. Marshall says, that you have to stay involved as the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and also as your citizen rep on our tourism board. That's definitely the education I've learned from both has been priceless, and I have enjoyed every minute of it. To spend hours from the morning, I think my household could attest to the time that I spend in researching different matters that Pocomoke faces, and how the state and the federal government, whether it be grant funding, where we can go on the state level and where we can go on the local level. And it takes everybody. It takes the knowledge of what direction to go. And I'm a firm believer in working with all levels. I'm born and raised in DC. We have dealt with federal government and all of that bureaucracy there. DC is not a state, so you handle things a little bit differently, but everybody's got to be on the same page. Transparency is huge, and just research and follow up and have a working relationship with all levels of government. It's a must. Thanks.
Nolan, thank you. All right, next up, we're going to address public safety. And just a background, just a few years ago, the Pocomoke Police Department was at a crisis point with only a handful of staff. While Chief Hancock's leadership has rebuilt the staff, law enforcement hiring and retention is a nationwide struggle, not just here in Pocomoke. Salaries are presently competitive, but they must remain so. Chief Hancock is exploring options such as additional security cameras and a shot spotter, which obviously comes at a cost and expensive system to be paid for with grants, but will come with an annual cost. So the first question concerning public safety is, how would you support our police department in their efforts to address crime and improve transparency? And Brooke, you've got the floor to answer the question.
Thank you. I believe our police department does a great job at staying on top of crime in Pocomoke City. I often see Chief Hancock presenting new ideas to the council on how to improve the safety of our community. Our police department has also implemented community meetings to keep residents in the know of issues the community and the department have been facing. As you stated, recently Chief Hancock requested that the number of cameras be increased within the city. I agree that an increase in surveillance would be helpful in increasing response time to calls and in turn increase the overall safety of our community. However, I have limited knowledge of the city's budget and specifics of the proposal, as I have not had the opportunity to review any documents related to it. Once I have had the opportunity to review these things, inevitably my opinion will evolve and change.
Very good. Next up, I'm going to ask for Steve.
The short answer to that question is I'm going to support the police department and the EMS and other departments with every available tool that we have available. Every tool, every resource we would use to provide support for them. But I can tell you that when it comes to the EMS service, the fact is we need another ambulance. There's 2 hours out of service time.
Well, I was going to get, I don't mean to interrupt, that's coming up next is EMS. We're talking about police.
No problem. You know, one of the things that I would encourage is community policing. I think we do a good job of that. I believe we have a dedicated officer for that now. And community policing leads to safer neighborhoods. There's no doubt about that. Another way to make our neighborhoods a little bit safer is increase our code enforcement. Code enforcement makes criminals move their enterprise out of town. By utilizing code enforcement, whether it be grass or broken windows or shady-looking houses, by putting a little pressure on them with code enforcement, next thing you know, that crime moves out of town and it's not our problem anymore. And that's important for the residents of Pocono. 30 seconds. Training. We've done a great job with training. I think the minimum hours required for training for police in their area is 18 hours. And I was pleased to find out that most of our officers have received over 50 hours of training. I learned a lot the other night from Officer Castaneda concerning youth and youth laws concerning police activity. And I believe that the county can do a job in setting up a social network to support youth who find their way into the legal system.
All right, CL, thank you. Nola, now before you.
Thank you. I think Chief Hancock, thank you very much. I think he's done a phenomenal job. I think he was probably dealt a really bad hand there in the beginning. And to turn it around the way that you have, you should definitely be commended for. So thank you very much. With having law enforcement in my family, of course, it goes without saying, I support them 1,000%. Whatever the police need, I don't care if it's the two-legged officer or the four-legged officer, what they need, they deserve to keep themselves safe, to keep this community safe. I would enhance the community policing a bit more. And I say that only because the way crime is, it's a very fluid situation, and it may change weekly, it may change monthly, but I think that's very, very important to gain the trust of the community, especially with our youth. I'm not going to bring up a sore subject, but I'm going to go ahead and hit it. Chief Sewell was phenomenal with community policing, and just by his community policing procedures, he certainly fixed a few problems in our household, and he was very aggressive with it, and I gave him permission to be aggressive. So I would like to get back to that standard of community policing. Thank you. Time's up.
Long before I was ever on a seat on the city council, first responders have been my heart. My husband's a fireman. He was an ambulance driver and an EMT. He's no longer able to do that. But when it comes to the police department, the best decision, I would say probably the second, or in the top two decisions that we've made, and I personally had a vote in it, was to make Chief Hancock Chief of Police. He took a police force of 5 officers and turned it in, as CL said, we're one shy, and they're knocking on our doors to come. He sees that he gets the training that our officers need. He comes to us, and before he ever opens his mouth, we know whatever he's asking for is needed, and we work diligently to see that that need is fulfilled. If I continue on the council, the police department, the EMS, and first responders is a top priority for me. It's close to my heart, and I said I wasn't going to get emotional, but people say that that's a weakness, but I'm here to tell you it's not. My emotions say I have a heart. Thank you.
As moderator, I get a chance to, with a follow-up question, so I want to follow up on the background that I gave And so I'm going to give 60 seconds to each of you. Some of you addressed it, but I want to ask directly, and we'll start in reverse order, so Esther, you'll first up. As I talked about specifically, additional security cameras and a shot spot. Putting the budget aside, I understand, Mark, what you talked about. Putting the budget aside for a second, in principle, please answer in 60 seconds whether you're for or against security cameras and or a shot spot.
I'm absolutely for it. And if I stay on council, I can promise you, and I don't make promises, but it'll happen. With the support of the rest of the council and the community, it will definitely happen. As I said in my other statement, if the chief comes to us with a need, we know it's needed. And we work diligently, and he works diligently to find money. So yes, I absolutely believe that there needs to be more cameras in Pocomoke City. They need to be in the park. They need to be where they're already present and updated. They need to be throughout the city. It stops and helps the crime rate, the response time, cuts it in almost seconds. It's vital. It's very vital to our city.
CL, 60 seconds.
Security cameras, I think, are a wonderful idea, and I think we need more of them. They, in today's society where litigators kind of rule the world, those cameras provide unrefutable evidence of what happens to our officers on the street. They have body cameras, but also it gives them the opportunity to have backup. And I think cameras should be placed throughout the town, not only in neighborhoods that are high crime areas, where most crimes occur, but in other neighborhoods as well, because I think that would provide good information if our officers are in pursuit or need additional information in finding a perpetrator. As far as the shot spotter goes, one of the questions I had about it, if I was deer hunting, would it show up when I shot a doe? And that answer is no. We can explain that. But absolutely, that's just another tool that we can use to work for better protection of our residents and better policing in our town. Absolutely.
Nolan?
Okay. I'm in full support of the spot shooter. I think it's technology is fascinating when you can come into these things. So thank you for looking into that and fully support that. And I would certainly look into every avenue to get the funding for that. And even if the manufacturer of this could even give Pocomoke a trial run, to set it up and show everyone how it works and the do's and the don'ts, if we were given that opportunity. The security cameras you can never go wrong with a security camera, that's evident. And the way technology is with the cameras, you can zoom in on tag numbers. I've done security cameras where I've zoomed in on tag numbers 3 blocks away, 4 blocks away. So they're again priceless. So I would fully support security cameras wherever the area is needed. And if sometimes I've even dealt with, we call it Rover, and it's a specialized security camera, and we move that around. Where's Rover? Well, we moved him around 10 times. Thank you, Chip.
Everyone?
As I stated previously, I support the increase in cameras and also the shot spotter, as I think it would increase the overall safety of our community.
All right, very good. Thank you for answering the follow-up. We're going to continue with public safety, EMS, and fire here. Pocomoke City's EMS clinicians are some of the lowest paid in the area. Several have left for higher paying jurisdictions. Continuous response coverage is difficult with the nearest hospital a 30-minute drive away, as you know. Many local clinicians have been lost to higher paying agencies. There's also a limited pool of qualified clinicians available. So what can city leaders do to support hiring and retention of qualified clinicians? And Nola, you have first answer.
Can I ask you one? So, when I wrote that question, I was not aware of a step increase. When did that go into effect?
Approximately a month ago.
Okay.
I think it went into effect. That's the second pay period in February. I'm not 100% sure of that, but it was voted on, and they did get. We went across and established the STEP program as recommended to us from Chief Ryan McCready. We dallied with figures. It wasn't easy, but we found it. It's something that we've been wanting to do for a couple of years. And a lot of people, that deserving people, got a significant increase in their pay. So now we're competitive with the other areas in Worcester County.
So the lowest paid part goes away, but the rest still stands.
Could you restate the question, please?
Sure. What can city leaders do to support hiring and retention of qualified EMS clinicians? And Nola, if you have first names.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for that update, Esther. I appreciate it. I think it's another fine example of transparency coming from the city of Pocomo.
It was
Further, thank you very much, Esther. It's my time. I think that obviously the step scale is long overdue. If I'm given the opportunity on council, I'd like to get a little bit deeper into that to make sure that it is in line with other counties within Maryland, across the bridge, etc. I knew that Mary Beth Cardozo was working on some legislation in regards to some funding for retention of EMS. And we'll see how that turns out. We'll keep our fingers crossed and say our prayers that that comes to life. And I am a firm believer in, again, any available funding that we can get for our EMS is, I use the word priceless, but our location, being a rural area, what we can get is just fills the bill for a lot of things, and being so far away from a hospital. If I need to go 28 miles, I want to make sure my EMT and or my paramedic is very well trained to get me there. So it's not like we have a hospital around the corner. That woman is keeping me alive in the 28 miles. So thank you.
CL.
Pay equalization is a huge issue. You know, like I said, we're a small city. We're competing with other cities throughout Worcester County who are a little bit larger and have more money to spend on their EMS. It pleases me that the council and the city find that money for the to bring them up to speed in terms of pay, the EMS people. But looking forward, the compressed pay scale that they have in other cities is somewhat of an issue, and that's something that we're going to have to look at. That gives an early act where pay is basically front-loaded throughout their career, and we'll need to look at that as well. But recruitment's always an issue, and now it's more of an issue than ever. I think there are 4 or 5, maybe 6 people right now going through the program, and most likely only 1 to 2 of them will be successful in becoming an EMS. So the attrition rate is high in that field. Young adults are not wanting to go in that field. Well, one of the things that we have in our favor here at Pocomo is that I believe we are one of, if not the only, department to have a state retirement plan with their EMS program, and that is a marketing tool that we can use. And for that reason and many other reasons, like I said, this is a wonderful place to live, and that is something that we can market as well.
All right. Brooke?
As I stated previously in regard to the vacancies in our municipal government, I believe it is important to have competitive compensation and benefit packages for these individuals. Everyone is important, right? The difficult thing is prioritizing when and where the city's money is going. Prioritizing the city's funds will be one of my main focuses if elected.
Esther?
With the pay increase that they just received as a start and a beginning to furthering the recruitment of our EMS. As CL said, the training is intensive, and it's not just a Pocomo issue, it's a nationwide issue. And Pocomo does, as CL said, has one of the best benefit packages around. We have dental, we have eye, we have life, we have health. We have a really good retirement system. It's with the Maryland State Retirement System. We can only increase and encourage through that type of recruitment. We try very hard and have been successful in keeping the equipment up to date. We will have a new ambulance in service next month, I believe is the projected date. That's 4 new ambulances in the past 5 years. With our travel being so far out, we even cover Somerset County, and everybody is entitled to health care. So we've approached Somerset County to ask for assistance. Hopefully that will happen, and we'll give our run time a little bit of a slack for our EMS. They are truly overworked, and if you see them on the street, thank them.
All right, thank you. This question really breaks down into a third, so I'm going to ask a third question concerning public safety that has to do with our firefighters. Volunteer firefighters are in shorter supply, call volumes are increasing. Again, that's not necessarily unique to this area. Now, the state of Maryland supports jurisdictions in offering property tax incentives. Locally, Ocean City has offered it to their volunteers as well. What can city leaders do to support volunteer firefighter recruitment and retention? And, you start.
I think what the city can do is contact our community, get the locals involved, let them know that there is a need, and ask if there are any ideas that they could provide, and also marketing this online to a wider population.
Esther?
I feel as if I'm a member of the fire department family.
You are.
I spend a lot of time there. I'm not officially in the auxiliary or a firefighter, but I'm there when asked. If people were interested in the job, there's no better place to volunteer than Pocono Fire Company. It's a brother. I'm going to get emotional. It's a brotherhood like I've never seen before. They respect each other, they work together, they're each other's back. I would turn over anything to help the fire department. And I'm sorry I'm getting emotional, but it's very close to my heart. My husband is a fireman, and what they've done for him in his illness is beyond me, I would encourage everyone, women, men, and children, to seek out and join the Pocono Volunteer Fire Company.
Nolan?
Fire company, what a brotherhood, right? You can't support them enough. That goes without saying. I feel that getting everyone involved in volunteering in some capacity, the schools, in fact, can get involved. I know when the fire company has had an open house, and we had taken our grandson, and he was maybe 3, well, he was just beyond, how the eyes as big as golf balls, and got the fire hat on. And I thought, maybe he's going to be a fireman. Who knows? And it was just such a great opportunity that the fireman gave him, and, to let him get up in the truck. And I haven't ruled that out yet, that he's not going to be, because he's fascinated. We can go by abandoned buildings, and he says, Mom, maybe we need to burn that one down. Way down on 13. And so he's still pretty in tune. So I think we really need to get into maybe the schools to get the youth involved in a career in firefighting and a career in EMS. And because it's a great career, it's a rewarding career. It's a special breed of people. Not everybody can do that. I always say with my family in law enforcement, we say we don't run in burning buildings. So that's a special kind of person that does that. And so I would love to see the youth involved more in bringing their attention to their community. Time's up.
See you.
Just like EMS recruitment for the fire company is very difficult. The cadet program seems like it is moving along very nicely. I know several of young adults in Pocono in their 20s have recently joined the fire company because I bought boat pass tickets from them today, and that's very encouraging. I do agree with what Noah said, that working in the schools is a great way to build interest in our fire company locally. The touch a truck thing is a wonderful thing. Our fire company does open it up for the community to come and visit on several occasions. It's a wonderful thing. I wonder if there's an opportunity for cooperation with Worcester Technical School to put in a fire department or a fire training program there, if there's not already one there. If it's not, it probably should be, but to address the shortfall of firefighters throughout Worcester County would be a wonderful thing to do. Excuse me. But volunteers are the key to our fire department's success and making it an attractive place, seeing the benefits of being involved with the fire company, not only in what they can do for the community, but the intrinsic value of knowing that it's a job well done and a service that needs to be handled. It's a very worthwhile endeavor, and I encourage everybody, if you're not, to become involved with the fire company in some way.
Seal, thank you. We're going to move on to our next question and issue having to do with parks and natural resources. Some feel the pathways are muddy and unusable. Volunteers in public works have sustained the nature trail over the years. There's some disrepair. The river's underutilized, but a sought-after destination for recreational boating, kayaking, canoeing, and fishing. One of the two boat ramps does not provide trailer parking. Both ramps are limited in amenities and are often in poor repair. Past attempts have been made to add boat fueling at the marina, though they have apparently been shelved. So the first question here is, what would you do to improve the appearance and functionality of parks? And CL, you have to describe that.
Cypress Park's a fantastic asset to retain. It was my children's first introduction to how local government works as a skateboard park was being built, and it was very educational for them. But we're in serious need of some flood mitigation activity there because it does flood. It's causing damage and could damage to pickleball courts and other facilities that are there, the playground and the like. There are plans, and plans have been submitted on several occasions for a marina there, and I think that would be something that would be suited well for that piece of ground. It's low, it would enhance the boating activities on the river, and one of the things that we lack that would increase boating activity on the river, specifically overnight stays and visits to our businesses and the like, is a fuel system that is operable and safe according to the Maryland Department of the Environment. I think that is key, and that would certainly enhance the river. As far as the winter quarters facility is concerned, that log cabin is in need of some repair. I do believe there's some electrical issues there and some HVAC issues, but what a wonderful wedding venue that could be turned into, with a little bit of insight and development from investors.
All right, Noel.
Thank you. The DNR has had meetings in Pocomoke, and unfortunately, City Council has not appeared at any of those meetings, but what their plan was and is through Cypress Park, as beautiful as it is, we all know that it gets a little wet. And what they would like to do in their vision is to have a trail, elevated trail system through Cypress Park. And we have also looked at extending the boardwalk down even to Hardwire and open that up as just a walkable area. We have such a vital downtown that we need to have it walkable, accessible by bicycle. And as far as the trails, can go all the way up into the state park. And I think when Mr. Marshall and I both attended the mixer at the Margaret Theater last week, Tuesday, it was very advantageous to be with the tourism and to discuss the different avenues that we can go, whether it's the kayaking, and I think even Mr. Marshall offered to take them for a boat ride up the river and open their eyes to all the possibilities that exist. We do not utilize our riverfront like we should. It's a gem, it's an asset, it's a draw, a marina, and I know a lot of people say that we'd like to have a marina with a restaurant. That's not out of the picture yet. So we need to utilize it and promote it. Thank you, Chip.
Esther?
I agree with what both candidates have just expressed. Just to elaborate, when we were presented the option of bringing a marina to Pocomoke approximately 4 to 6 years ago, it was a grant for $600,000 and we had to match it. At that time, the money was not available. It's not that we didn't want it, it's didn't, that we couldn't afford it. If that opportunity does arise again, the city's in a good place financially, and we do have those funds that we could now match it. And I would be 100% for it, because our river is our gem. It is our gem, and it could bring tourism and massive economic development to our downtown area. It would be a form of revitalization like we've never seen before. Speaking of the walkable, and our comprehensive plan 5 years ago was based around a walkable community. And we were seeking grants just for that. But that was all based around the library coming to Pocomo in that Willow Street Armory area, which is no longer happening. So everything has to be rethought and redesigned. So hopefully those walkable communities that all of us want will happen.
All right, and Brooke?
Parks and natural resources are vital for our community's health and well-being, as stated by the other contestants. However, sustaining these resources can be a challenge with limited budgeting and staff. Fortunately, creative funding solutions can be utilized to combat these challenges, such as grant opportunities and community funding.
Brooke, thank you. We're going to move on to, since there has been an incorporation of both Parks and Rec, we'll move on to the next issue. And it has to do with transparency and accountability. Open meetings, website, Facebook, information dissemination is what we're talking about. Of course, the city's recently been found in violation of the Open Meetings Act on several different occasions. Communication of city actions, projects, some feel is lacking. For instance, the water meter project controversy where citizens were not clearly notified of radio meters being installed and they needed to flush their home plumbing properly following installation. So along those same lines, the first question would be, what strategies would you promote civic engagement and participation in local government, and in addition, steps to ensure transparency and accountability in the city council's decisions? Brooke, we'll start with you first.
Transparency in government is a cornerstone of healthy democracy. The workings of the government should be open and accessible to the public. This allows residents to understand how decisions are made, where their tax dollars are going, and how their elected officials are performing their duties. I created the platform Break Barriers with Brooke because my ultimate goal is to break barriers that may cause residents to feel unheard or unseen by their local government. Over the last few weeks, I have knocked on the doors of all the residents in District 4. I provided them with information on the election as well as my contact information. It is important to me that the residents know who I am and also understand that I am accessible and approachable. If elected, I will be their voice, and in order for me to represent them effectively, there can't be any barriers separating us.
Brooke, thank you. Next up, Sia.
I think the first thing that we should do in terms of government transparency is fix the audio and visual components of our city council meetings. In the environment in which we now live, and hopefully there are thousands of people watching this tonight, Chip. There are people at home who are very interested in what's happening in Pocomo. But yet they have the ability to watch and be able to monitor that from the safety of their own home, and we encourage that. We encourage participation throughout our community, and by fixing that, it would be a big step toward that. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't think it's anything major, and we can certainly look toward that. But transparency and accountability are crucial. I think Thomas Jefferson said it best. He said, whenever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government. And I think the same applies today as it pertains to Pocomo. By keeping the public well informed on things like, when we're going to pressure test the water lines to prevent backflow into people's houses, things like that. Something simple. Communication is key there. And I believe that through that communication, we can make a happier and we can have our residents, specifically in the water department, have a better feeling about what we're doing. Communication there is key. That's it.
Next up, Esther.
I'm only speaking for myself individually, but I do feel that will be the same resonated with the other council members. I'm always available. I'm a good listener. My phone number's been made public. My email's been made public. And I can be reached by telephone, or I'm a homebody, so I'm readily available, and I listen well. As far as the transparency in government, we have nothing to hide. It's all public record. Every citizen is entitled to have the minutes of our meetings. They're encouraged to attend our meetings. I don't have a thing to hide. So, I mean, I just, my life's an open book. You ask me, I might not have the answer, but I'll find the question, and I'll answer the question in time with an answer. That's all I gotta say too. I could get really wound up, but I'll behave.
That's why I stopped.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you. The transparency serves to achieve accountability. The city with today's technology is no excuse for the lack of transparency that us residents receive. It is, I'm not privy to why, but it seems fairly easy between a website and social media. As we went through the changing of the meters and even different reasons, different instructions on how to, when to run your water, how long to run your water, if your water's going to be brown, it's not going to be brown, on and on. We never really had any set information or instructions to follow from day one. And so with social media, the way it goes, everybody has their own instructions that they put out there, and they say, no, you're supposed to run 25 seconds. No, you're supposed to run at 10. So this is information as small as it may be, but it's a simple task. It's a simple task. We've got to get on board with the proper notifications of closed sessions and open sessions, and when they're posted, when they're not posted. I think that we can say that I believe that the city does show some slight improvement in that regard to getting that information out and posting it properly. So I do see some improvement there. And I'm sorry, but Chip keeps cutting me off. Thank you.
All right, and as a follow-up to this, and again, this is along the lines of civic engagement, is how would you approach budgeting and prioritization for the city's services and programs? And then also, how would you evaluate the effectiveness of the policies and programs implemented by the city council? And Esther will start first with you.
I'm not exactly clear on what the question is directed to.
So in terms of budgeting and prioritization, as it regards to civic engagement, how do you go about approaching the budget and the priorities through civic engagement, and how do you, through civic engagement, evaluate the effectiveness of the policies and programs that you put forward?
Are you talking about budget season and what our priorities are? Is that the direction?
Yes.
Budget season is beginning to start. We have a majorly big budget. It usually starts with our priorities, which in the past couple of years has been our water. Then our pay scale, our infrastructure, making sure our employees are well taken care of, which they are. My priorities when the budget season rolls around at the present time is our water project, to make sure and ensure that every citizen in Pocomoke has clear water. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a process. We've been working on it for approximately 4 years. We've got the heights restructured with the infrastructure, and our next step, I believe, is headed towards downtown. Budget is a serious process, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of figuring. I'm a numbers person, so I work with numbers quite a bit. I hope this has answered your question.
Brooke?
If elected, I will be representing the residents of District 4. I am their voice. And in order to do that, I would need to take a poll of their opinions.
Okay. Next up, Seal.
When it comes to budgeting and determining where that money should go, I'm not familiar with the budgeting process in Pocomoke. I haven't been privy to that. I have seen pieces of the budget. But I can tell you this, that priority should be given to those areas that need the most improvement. Our water project is, I like my water. My water is good everywhere we live. We're pleased with that. The heights, there's been some improvement there, and I'd like to see that to continue as well. But in terms of budgeting where it should go, I think that would really come from our city's comprehensive plan, where done properly by capable people. I believe Mr. Brandaway and Mr. Blake, I believe their city manager, I believe they are capable, but they also have a lot on their hands right now. And in order to properly allocate where our budget dollars should go, that should be outsourced and done from a private entity and not done within Hatch, in my opinion.
Nolan?
Thank you. I'm not privy to the full budget. I was hoping to attend a work session last night with the city council working on the budget, but it didn't happen. I didn't see it. But in the budget work sessions, obviously our priorities are going to be our infrastructure and the police, fire, et cetera, along those lines. The approach needs to be aggressive. And like I said, I'm not privy to how or what process the city council uses, but I think they need to focus also on our nonprofits that are an asset to the city, obviously, from the Post House to the Discovery to the one-room schoolhouse. They are vital to our city, and they should be treated as such. The water, I think that needs to be looked at within the budget and get some funding and maybe piggyback off of the zip line. In door knocking, it's very distressing to talk with a young lady that is unable to bathe her son on a Saturday night because the water is so dirty. That's discouraging. We need attention on that. That's a priority that needs to be thrown into the budget. It needs to be thrown into the infrastructure of Pocomoke City. I think the residents have had enough.
We do have a question concerning water coming up, so we'll revisit that issue in a second. I know, Esther, you had asked whether you would answer my question or not, and so I am going to do a brief follow-up because Brooke answered it as the way that I asked, so I'll give a 30-second follow-up to all of you wanted. The question had to do with civic engagement and prioritization of the city's budget. 30 seconds, talk to us about, and we'll go in reverse order as we started, which I lost my place on. But we'll just go down the line as we did. Civic engagement concerning budget prioritization and a follow-up on the decisions you make. How do you do that engaging Pocomoke citizens is really the question.
Okay, again, I'm kind of confused as what you mean by civic.
Outreach, man, outreach.
Okay.
Concerning how do you come up with a prioritization of the budget? Do you just do it on your own? Or
No.
do you seek the public's opinion?
Our budget starts with our finance director and our city manager working diligently together. And they bring to the council a rough draft, and then we go over it line by line and discuss it, which will be privy to the public at work sessions. And the work session was not held last night because it was my decision, or I was asked, and I asked to postpone it until the election was over. I think it would be only fair to start that with the new council. Did I answer it?
I'm sorry for the confusion, but I don't think you...
We're very engaged civically with the people. They are involved in the budget process, but the project starts with the city manager and the finance director. and they go department by department by department. The civic part of it will be open and people will be involved.
Okay. I'll give 60 seconds if you have the extra time to see. I'll just go down the line here.
No problem. It's a complex process, I'm sure, and I think civic engagement would probably be gauged best through public comment and public input, to see what the public, needs and what they want, based on the funds that are available. And that would encompass, certainly a public comment session, as well as collaboration with the finance director and the other pertinent parties within City Hall. And I think that collaboration would be necessary, and then follow-up to ensure that the projects were done and done properly to serve the public need.
Thank you. I don't remember as a resident of Pocomoke being invited into a public comment session at budget time. I know it was a work session, but I don't remember a public comment portion of that. So Esther, that would be wonderful to have at a work session, to have public comment. Engaging the public with the budget is, like I said earlier, what I have found from again, the water, the flooding of the streets. These need to be addressed within the budget. It's a priority. We have some houses have water up to their garage on some of these streets, it's never been a part of the budget unless it falls under that category of other. I'm not sure. I have trouble reading the budget that's online, and that's it. But the citizens need a lot of input on this budget for the problems that we face. Thank you.
And Brooke, well, I know you kind of answered my question
Yes.
at the beginning, but I'll give you the proper 60 seconds to expand.
Thank you. As I stated previously, it's important to take the opinions of my residents as I am their voice, and also once the budget has been established and things have been implemented, I think it's important to go back and follow up with the residents to see if they are happy with the results.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next question that has to do with streets, sidewalks, water, and infrastructure, although I know water has been addressed already here. But city streets and sidewalks have been known for poor conditions. In many cases, there are sidewalks that are non-existent. While water and sewer have recently been infused with multi-million-dollar grants, the rest of the infrastructure appears to have no planned path forward, at least, again, that's the opinion of some. So the question is, again, and I understand some of this has been addressed, but how would you prioritize the funding of improvements to streets, sidewalks, and other infrastructure as well? So we've talked water, but there are obviously all other areas as well as pertains to infrastructure. And Esther, we've got you first, right?
Infrastructure is a big topic for me. Would I love to see every street in Pocomoke blacktop with stripes on it? Absolutely. But the problem with Pocomoke is that we are plagued with decades-old infrastructure under the streets. As you know, Market Street is owned by the state. They are responsible for repairs on that. Most sidewalks are the responsibility of the property owner, not the city. We have a code enforcement officer that is addressing that. But to fully repair our streets, the pipes and the like I said, decade-aged pipes underneath our streets, it would only be wasting thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to blacktop that street when the infrastructure beneath it could cave in at any time. So it's a working process. It's not going to happen overnight. I found out the first year I was on the council that things do not happen in government overnight. It takes months and years sometimes to accomplish that. It is on the radar, and hopefully in my lifetime, I will see those pipes replaced and the streets repaired.
All right, thank you. Brooke?
It's important that we modernize with care by finding cost-effective ways to upgrade and prioritizing sustainability. Sidewalks are extremely important as many of our residents walk as their primary method of transportation, walking to school, work, or simply a friend's house. And also, Pocomoke has a history of issues with water sources in our community. Clean water is a basic human right. All of our residents should have clean water in their homes.
All right, thank you. CL.
Concerning sidewalks, I think one of the first things that I'd like to tackle concerning that is finding a way to install a sidewalk right out here from the high school down Cedar Street on the left side of the road. Every afternoon, students there are at risk. There's no sidewalk there. There's no safe place to walk. It looks like that's school property on the side. So that's something I think we could take a look at as well for the safety of our students. Secondly, infrastructure is a major issue, and Cedar Street is probably one of the worst ones in town. And the lift station there, I believe, is complete or near completion. It's almost there. We've done a good job with their lift stations. And I think Market Street in that area is better for it. Excuse me. Concerning the sidewalks and the property and it being owned by the property owners, I think the city should be able to access some money either from the county, and I believe there is some county money available right there, for infrastructure rehabilitation. And the money that I believe is out there should be a good start toward rehabilitating our sidewalks from a city standpoint, should we choose to do that. But I think infrastructure with our piping and our underground facilities may take precedent over that. But that's something we could discuss.
All right. And Nolan.
I think the first thing I would do is, if I was on city council, is give the Worcester County a call in their finance department and take hold of the little less than $100,000 that's been left on the table by city council. It's an infrastructure reimbursement grant. I would start there. And it may not be a lot. Every little bit helps. But if we don't have infrastructure, we don't have town. If we don't have infrastructure, we don't have economic and development. We don't have revitalization. We have nothing. So there is, from my research, a lot of infrastructure grant money out there available. They're too numerous to really list, but it's the money is there. We need to take advantage of it. And like I said, without repeating myself, without the infrastructure, we don't have a town. And that's where we need to focus our number one priority right now. And like I said, we could piggyback off other grant funding that's been utilized and take it into the future. But it's a must, it's a priority. District 4 folks, I think I've lived in an environment that is very unfair, it's unjust, it's unacceptable, and it has gone on far too long. Thank you.
All right, for purposes of time, if we could, I would ask the candidates, with your permission, if it's okay if we just get 60-second answers going forward so we can finish out the questions, if that's okay with you.
We've still got a lot of ground covered.
No, thank you.
Is there any opposition to reducing time to 60 seconds?
No.
Absolutely not.
All right, next up, we're going to talk about the economic development and private investment vision for growth. Pocomoke City's tax rates are the highest in Worcester County, and there's a two-tier system with even higher rates for non-owner occupied properties. The historic city-owned golf course was closed several years ago due to negative revenue. It's now being used for disc golf. The golf clubhouse sits vacant. The city's planning on demolition of the historic armory, which will leave a large empty lot in the heart of downtown. The city is one of the largest landowners within limits, owning several downtown lots. So the first question up, and there are a couple with these, what are plans for sale or use of city-owned property? And Noel will begin with you.
Oh, sure. I think it's been said many times that the Pocomo City needs to stop being a landlord. They need to get out of the real estate business. We need some revenue, especially with LOIs that have been submitted. I think the golf course, with the interest there, I think if it was sold or leased, we'd have a golf course up and running in short order with the investor that is interested and has many, many years experience in running golf courses. And the Armory, that Armory is a historic building in this town. Don't touch it. Keep your hands off of it. Let's redevelop it in some fashion by an investor. I don't want to take that history away from the youth that grew up with the Salvation Army there. They're proud. It brings a smile to their face. Their eyes light up. I don't want to take that away from them. I want them to walk down the street and give it to them, show their grandchildren and show their kids. But it's, don't take it.
All right, Brooke.
Our community is plagued with poverty, so it's essential that we focus on economic development. I think it's important that we look into selling these properties or finding things to do with them to bring in funds.
Seal.
I don't think the city should be in the real estate business at all. I think we should divest ourselves from that. I think we should seek private interest for that. And I think the Armory is a prime example of that. I know there's interest by a developer in rehabbing the Armory, their apartment buildings. And that's the same developer who rehabbed the fire department, I believe, down on 5th Street. I believe he did an excellent job with that, providing both affordable housing and handicap accessible housing at street level. As far as the golf course goes, lease it, rent it, get it operational, turn it into a revenue generating facility once again, not only in golf, but also in other amenities. It's a facility that can be rented out for many things, increasing revenue for the city as well. Thank you.
Esther.
In answer to the LOIs, as of this date, we only have one active LOI, and it's with Ms. Sarah Chapman. We're working with her, and it's in its final stages of being completed. The city has worked with her. Scott Holland and I have talked to her also about the golf course. That meeting may happen later. We've not said no to it. As far as the Armory, the investor that is interested in the Armory, it has a reverter clause with the state of Maryland as a historic building. It's in the process of having that reverter clause reversed and returned to the city for their property. No plans have been made as to what to do with that yet, but the investor that is interested, to me, and I don't want to step on their toes because they did a beautiful job with the firehouse, but at this point, they're asking the city and the county for money. So how are they going to finance an apartment building in the Armory? Just to put that out there, to clarify rumors that are going around. Time's up, I'm done.
And you referenced an LOI, just for our audience, as a letter of intent. All right, as a follow-up to this, and really the two go hand in hand, as a city council member, talk to us about your thoughts in being a city council member and promoting economic development, and that can include a plan to reduce barriers to investment and promote economic growth. And Nola, we'll start with you.
Sure. If I could just follow up and you know, the investors that are interested in Pocomo, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't something that came up overnight. Let me be the one to tell you, it has been at least a year that these investors have been trying to come into Pocomo. They have had the door slammed in their face. We're not going to have economic and development advancement with this kind of treatment. I am sorry. Sarah Chapman has had LOIs in for 1 year. Are we talking nice now to Mrs. Chapman? But seriously, we need to run this town like a business. We're not running it on emotions. We are running it like a business and common sense. Investors should be treated like everyone else, like the Boys and Girls Club, we open them with open arms, absolutely. We should open our arms to everyone.
Esther?
Can I rebut?
We have a rebuttal segment at the end, so we'll give you the opportunity.
I've been talking nice to Sarah Chapman from the get-go, and I think she will attest to that. Every time she calls me with an idea, I get super excited. I hope I stick around long enough to see her dreams come true. Apparently the people that we're speaking of haven't talked to the right people. For economic development and these people that are willing to invest in the city, it all starts with coming to the city. Bring it to us. We make the final decision on the sale, property, the putting it out for market, whatever. Those investors need to come to talk to the city. No one else. I'm done.
I would love to connect with organizations focused on rural development and small town investment. Also support local businesses, as small businesses are the backbone of our town. I plan to encourage residents to shop local and find ways to attract new entrepreneurs. We could also implement a business incubator program, which would be an organization that provides resources and support to help early stage businesses grow and thrive. Some of the services that we could provide would be office space, mentorship from experienced entrepreneurs or business professionals, networking opportunities, business plan development assistance, connection to potential investors, or access to financing or funding resources. So the goal would really be to help startups become successful independent businesses.
Thank you. And Seal?
I personally have met with several folks, investors locally, regionally, and even nationally of late, concerning Pocomoke and the opportunities that lie within. I would encourage the city and the council to become more involved in those meetings, specifically with Wichita County Department of Economic Development. A lot of opportunities there. They bring a lot to the table. The Pocomoke River is one of our greatest assets, and I think building and having amenities along that river will be nothing but boost our town. It will boost tourism, it will boost the downtown area, it will help us in many different aspects of our city. But we need to do that on whatever playing field, whether it be at a city hall council meeting or whether it be with a group of investors sitting around a table. I think the city needs to be involved with that. I think we need to be in that conversation at whatever level, whether it be formal or informal. I think that type of collaboration is important. Concerning the amenities that we have downtown, the Delmar Discovery Center is a wonderful one of those. And I'm very pleased that the city is elected to perform some of the renovation work and repair work that's scheduled to begin on April Fool's Day.
All right. Seal, thank you. Next up, we're going to talk about the design standards, historic district, and property appearance and code enforcement. Just a little background, the city's recently passed a rental registration ordinance to regulate rentals. Also, the city's in the process of codifying a historic district that was previously defined by the National Register. Code enforcement, some folks at least feel that has struggled to have teeth hold property owners accountable for blight. So 2 questions here, and the historic end will be second, so we'll hold off any comments on it. What plans do you have to revitalize the core of the city, including residential areas in poor repair, deteriorated and rundown properties? And Esther, you've got first right.
I did a little research on that today, and I spoke with our code enforcement officer. He was hired in July of 2021, and at that time there was what he called a wish list for rehab or demolition. To this date, we have done 21 of that 30. To just give you a rundown, there's been 10 in the Laurel and Isaac Jenkins area that's been rehabbed. On Park Avenue, 3 rehab one in progress. 6th Street, the old sewing factory, is in the process of coming down. So it is a process. We are working to clean up our city. With the rental agreement, we're hoping that people will have a safer, healthier environment to live in. It's a process. We're on it. We're working hard. Bear with us. whether I'm around or not, that process will continue.
CL.
I think the key is collaboration. It's got to be a collaboration between private and public sources to make it work in the downtown area. In 2019, I believe it was, our city did a downtown revitalization plan, and that called for two-story, multi-story facilities on the downtown area with some residential housing upstairs. It shows it works by the massage parlor. That type of entity works, and it works for our city. Increasing foot traffic downtown, I think, would behoove everybody and would help support local businesses down there. One of the things I think would be key in enhancing some of the blight is to have a city list of approved contractors, that folks who don't know who to call, or folks who may have been shammed by some unruly contractor, will be able to go to. And these contractors being vetted by the city would be a wonderful resource that we could provide and would certainly help with that.
And Brooke.
It is important to enforce property appearance codes, as this will promote a sense of pride about our community. However, while enforcing property appearance codes is important, so is offering support. Instead of solely handing out consequences, we should also be offering various methods of education and support to individuals that find themselves unable to meet code requirements.
All right, Brooke, thank you. And Nolan.
In revitalizing the downtown area, that's going to be exciting to see the Newberry building come to life. And first and foremost, to revitalize it, to have more housing, and to have the jobs downtown, keep the youth here in Pocomoke, would be a huge for revitalization. The youth is our future, and we need to have the jobs for them. I know, Chip.
Don't let Chip pressure you.
I know. But yes, it's coming. I feel that I think everybody should get excited about it. We have to revitalize the other areas. Is that 149 Market Street that's coming in with wellness, and she's called the Shore Attorney and a travel agent.
No, thank you. Our final question having to do with youth services and opportunities. The city recently announced a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club intended to bring a 3,000-foot recreation facility to the heart of town on city-owned land. Recreation opportunities have declined with the deterioration of the armory and the centralization of county rec services to Snow Hill. Not discounting the county's Young Warriors program, city leaders have for years discussed building a new community center to improve services and opportunities. So the question is, what do you propose to improve the youth recreation desert that people feel is the case in Pocomoke City? Brooke will begin with you.
Investing in youth development is investing in our future. I'm very excited that the city has committed to partnering with the Boys and Girls Club to provide a building for the program that up until this point has been hosted by Pocomoke High School. It is important that we keep young people engaged. This can be done by promoting volunteer opportunities that allow young people to give back to their community and also develop valuable skills, or by simply partnering with our local schools and nonprofit organizations to expand the range of services and opportunities provided to the youth. The members of the council should have a presence in the schools to promote a strong relationship with students, parents, and staff.
Esther.
I do have a strong presence in our schools. Children are my heart. I'm often asked several times a year to go and read at the elementary school. I just recently attended a luncheon at the middle school for Warrior of the Month, a new program that they just implemented. I also partner with them for our city Christmas party each year, and we also do a program through MML, Maryland Municipal League, to have Mayor for the Day. We bring in a group of students chosen by the school to do a mock mayor and council meeting. As far as the Boys and Girls Club is concerned, it's a win-win for the city. The building will be ours. The building can be used for other facilitated things. Our senior citizens, our children, it'll give them a safe space to congregate together, and Chip's cut me off. I've been going for days. Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
We have in place the future warriors that the county was kindly nice enough to provide at no cost to the city. Even though I'm trying to put it in a place that the mayor had committed $15,000 towards the future warriors, and it has turned into something great. Unfortunately, when he took it to council voted that down. So the county was kind enough to completely fund that, and the basketball courts are ready or close to being ready. I think the all-purpose courts are going to be sometime around the 1st of June, and it's going to have bleachers, and it's going to be a full force of nature out there on that new Future Warriors within the schools, and then of course hopefully they're going to utilize it outside to the park that the county has offered, and it's being built and will maintain. So from inside the schools to outside into the park, it's going to be a great thing for them. Boys and Girls Club, bring them on.
And CO.
The Boys and Girls Club is a great thing for Pocomoke City. I've firsthand have seen what that can do. I've been involved with the Boys and Girls Club at Moorhead City in the Florida Boys and Girls Club fishing tournament, and I've seen how that money can help the community, can help so many deserving, so many needy folks. Any additional recreational facilities that we can have in Pocomoke are wonderful. The Future Warriors program is tremendous. I think this year they had over 200 kids playing basketball. Can you believe 90 folks signed up to play kickball? And there were some adults playing that as well. There is something also in the middle school that a lot of folks don't know, but it's called Club Fear. It's Face Everything and Rise, and that provides some social support and some other types of behavior modification and through peer management and peer models, if you will. And that's a great program as well. And I think in the middle school they have almost 70 kids involved with that. That's something that I think is going to be a growing thing there. But here in the southern part of Worcester County, we have to fight for everything we get. We have to let our commissioners and counties, we have to let everybody know that we are here. And we're on the southern end of the county. We are not Berlin, we are not Ocean City. We're in Pocomoke, and we deserve the same type of facilities that everyone else has. Actually, we deserve better because we are Pocomoke.
All right, Chip asked me to get one more question, and then we'll get to our rebuttal segment and then closing statements. And again, I appreciate everybody's time, both in the audience and, of course, our panel of candidates here this evening. The question having to do, we'll provide some background. This city funds many municipalities are finding success increasing walkability, likability, civic pride, and community engagement. Some revitalization advocates focus on incremental improvements rather than radical change. Many public spaces such as community gardens, sidewalks, and parks are underfunded and only see upgrades when grants are available. So a question about support of city heritage nonprofits include the Discovery Museum, the Sturgis One Room Schoolhouse, Austin House, Martin Theater, and Community Garden. This has been recently reduced and even eliminated financial support for some. So what would you like to do as it pertains to nonprofit funding? Esther, we'll start with you.
Very good question, and I can answer. When budget season came around last year, we were without a permanent city manager or a permanent finance director. So we were left to do this budget on our own, knowing that we were facing EMS pay raises, police support in cars. So we were very skeptical about shelling out money to anybody because we didn't have those two positions filled. It didn't say we were never going to do it again. It was a one-year thing because we wanted to make sure that we had the money to cover our EMS pay raises, the police department pay raises, And without a finance director, I mean, we are elected officials. We are taxpayers, just like everyone else. We're normal citizens. Neither one of us profess to be God or professor. So we have to go on what we have and the resources we have. And I'm not stopping at you. So that's the reason the funding for those nonprofits were cut off. The city owns the Delmarva Discovery Center. There's money budgeted every year for repairs. And I will shut it down. But again, I could go on forever.
Nolan?
I even forgot what the question was, so I'm sorry.
Sure, it has to do with support of city heritage nonprofits.
Yeah.
And what would you support or not?
Yeah. Our nonprofits are the anchor to this town. Without them, what do we have downtown? You take away the Discovery Center, you take away the Coastal House, the Sturgis one-room schoolhouse. It's just, it's unacceptable not to fund the anchors to this town and bringing people in. And I enjoy it just myself when I live here. I think one day we just said, hey, let's just run down to the Discovery Center. We had an hour or so, yeah, let's go down there. So it's an asset not only to the residents, but the people that come through, and you can take these numbers at the 13 rest stop on the Worcester County side. We had 500,000 people go through that rest area last year. 500,000. And you think we don't need to fund our nonprofits? They're bringing these people into Pocomo. And so it is vital. Thank you.
Seal?
Understanding the constraints of our budget system, I still believe that support of our nonprofit entities around town is vital. And I think through hard work and a little bit of research, there's funding that's out there available. Just recently, we were able to provide the Costnets with a $1,000 grant to go towards some of their expenses. That happened Saturday night. We were very pleased to be able to do that. And because the Discovery Center and many other entities are bringing in new exhibits, new things, are bringing new things into their facility that draw people, which can help generate revenue, which can be used for this support. I think the nonprofits that are around our town, I think a lot of them work hard to generate revenue for themselves, and they do a lot of philanthropic work, whether it be the Rotary, the Elks, the Kiwanis, whatever. Their input is needed. And when we're looking for community servants and we're looking for somebody to cook oyster sandwiches or whatever, at whatever event, those guys are always there, and they need to be supported by our town.
Amber?
I absolutely support the funding of these organizations. The history of our city is important. We must know where we've been to figure out where we're going.
All right, thank you. All right, we got to the portion here where we're going to offer up any rebuttals that one wants to make. Well, I guess it's fitting, because you finished the rebuttal earlier, we'll begin with you if you have any rebuttals.
I understand that question. I came here for a positive experience, so no rebuttals.
Okay, Roe?
I don't have any rebuttals.
Okay, Nolan?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm satisfied.
Okay, CL?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, next up, we will have our closing statements, of which you'll also have 90 seconds to be able to close things out and give your final thoughts here, as you had your opening statements for 90 seconds as well. And in order, CL, we'll begin with you.
You spoke of pride. Pride in Pocono, and it means something. We have a long, rich history, and tonight as I speak to you, we have great opportunity in front of us. Having the vision and tenacity to embrace it and shape it for the betterment of our town will enhance that pride, and it's a job for all of us to share. It takes leaders with the ability to follow through, complete the task, and join the town as one. This pride comes from knowing that our police, fire, and EMS programs are properly staffed, funded, and supported by our town. Safety of our townspeople is paramount, and we must uphold this trust by providing this proper training, equipment, and the resources required. Pocomo pride will grow as we partner with public and private economic development entities to create businesses and tourism opportunities. Finding and developing affordable housing for a growing population is key. and supporting the growing opportunities both in Wallops Island and here in Worcester County. Opening doors for progress and commerce for locally owned business will fuel our economy. Local dollars spent at local businesses fund little leagues, community events, and other charitable endeavors. As a town, we need to capitalize on our greatest assets. That's the river and our people. It's time we tap into the power of both. I know our history, and I know what Pocomoke can be, and I have a vision of what it should be. And my vision includes responsible commercial development. My vision includes access to recreational and educational opportunities for all segments of our population. If elected, I ask your cooperation from the mayor, the council, and I will lobby vigorously for the vision I have for Pocomoke. Together, we can restore that Pocomoke pride. Together, we can make Pocomoke a better place to live, work, and visit. And I ask for your vote on April 2nd.
CL, thank you. Brooke, you have the floor.
I want to be an inspiration to other people, in particular the youth. I want young people to be inspired and to know that you don't have to wait until you have nothing better to do to serve your community. I want to give a huge thank you to everyone that has encouraged me thus far and to everyone that came out tonight or is viewing from home. I would love the opportunity to represent the residents of District 4. On April 2nd, please come out and break barriers with Brooke.
Brooke, thank you. Esther, you're next.
I'm asking for your vote to let me continue my work for the city. I take it very seriously. I put a lot of time to it. I want to neglect my own family, my husband. Actually, I had almost considered not running again this year because he's always griping that I'm never home, I'm always doing something for the city. But he encouraged me and told me he had my back because he knows where my heart lies. I'm not a public speaker, as you can tell. I am passionate about Pocomoke City, and whenever anybody knows me, and most of Pocomoke does, knows when I'm passionate about something, I give it 200%. And I work hard, and I will continue to work hard for Pocomoke if re-elected. Thank you.
And Noel?
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, again, for coming out tonight and be a part of this great conversation that we've had tonight. I'm not only asking for your vote in District 4 and for the town in general, for the decisions that need to be made. I'm asking for your trust and asking you to believe in me, and I'm asking you to trust my experience in moving Pocomoke forward. In District 4, in door knocking, I want to address you if you're out there in the audience or if you're watching the live stream. I hear you. I get you. I understand your frustration. At the same time, I understand your smiles. I understand your bright eyes, and I understand all of your input. And what a great, diverse community I live in. I love my District 4. I have learned so much from everybody, from the youth to, I consider myself elderly, but, to, shut up, Theo. To the older generation, to our matriarchs that are residing with us in town. So I thank you, District 4, for giving me the chance, and I look forward to April 2nd and you casting your vote. Thank you.
Did you need a rebuttal on that?
With him always.
First, I want to thank you before we wrap things up and give you a chance to interact with the audience. I want to thank all four of you again for coming tonight and for the job that you did. Very informative. Obviously, you all did your homework, and I really appreciate that very much. Again, it's a huge service to the community to get everybody together. I've been doing these for years, and it's not always the case that that I'm able to get, or in this case, Chip's able to get everybody together. So I really appreciate that. By the way, I apologize if at any time I came off a little testy or what have you. I did mean it that way. I then got a little frustrated that I wasn't able to convey sometimes the question, but I think all in all, we covered a lot of great ground, and I think you guys did a lot of great
And you for sure.
I apologize for that. I wanted to as well, because, you know, we can talk about being frustrated about having issues, complaints, but for folks to step forward and to do something about it, or to provide a forum for openness and to try to get the community engaged and more civically active, for someone to take charge and to do all this is a big endeavor. So I think Chip deserves a round of applause for I want to thank those who came out tonight that took the time, that understand the importance of the local elections and the grassroots. I know that's something I always talk about on my program in the mornings is, you know, grassroots elections are so very important. These are your backyard elections that affect you sometimes much quicker than things that go on the other side of the bridge in our nation's capital. Things right here. So it's really important, and we need to get those numbers up. It won't happen overnight. But whether it's a municipal election or a school board election, we really hope for a good turnout, and you guys can lead the way and talk to your friends and neighbors about getting out and the importance. But thank you all for coming out tonight. Chip, thank you again. Thanks to the panel. Have a great, safe evening. Thank you so much.
I just want to say something to Mike. Thank you so much for your professionalism and keeping us straight and getting it across. So thank you.
It went this house. I saved it. Yeah.